operating and working in this space. And as we've heard this morning as well, particularly I see a lot of Bangladeshi faces here, and it's quite an exciting time for me to be back in Bangladesh, because I'm seeing there's so much more of an enabling ecosystem for these businesses, social businesses, to being created. So yeah, I don't want to set the expectations too high for the workshop, but let's try and have some zero waste unicorn social businesses created or founded in the next 45 minutes. But at least we'll have some ideas coming up as well. Ooh, hello. So maybe I'll move over here. So maybe if we go to the next slide. I think sometimes when we looking at this topic of circular economy, we first have to just have a bit of a recap over what we mean by the linear economy. So you can see here, material extraction, manufacturing and production, packaging and distribution. Then as consumers, we use these products, and then they're chucked away, right? So very obvious point, but just to have a recap, this is basically the problem. Unidirectional flow of materials, products, and goods in one way. And that's where we're having the issue.
This is where I want to highlight where, as consumers, or this forum can be part of, right?
Yeah.
So, step 1, 2, 3 is not in our control at the moment. We're not directly involved with process 1, 2, 3, but we're directly involved with process 4 and 5, step 4 and 5, because this is where it comes down to us about how we dispose, what we buy, and how we take it forward. So this is where, as individuals, we start playing our role. So yeah, and in the usage and at the disposal is where, as an individual, we can make a difference.
Exactly. Yeah. Next slide, please. And yeah, Fahim, you want to talk a little bit more as well about the scale of the problem of us not being responsible consumers that's been seen in Bangladesh?
Right. So, as I was saying earlier, like it's our choice, like how we dispose our waste. So this is a landfill in Amin Bazar. So Dhaka North City Corporation collects all the waste and it goes directly to this landfill. And it's a linear process. There is not much official extraction of waste and recycling of things, right? So this is a crazy data. I don't know if you know, like 6,500 tons of waste daily. So imagine like how many trucks, like one truck that we see around us can carry 5 tons. Imagine number of trucks going to that landfill. And we are sitting in a city where we lack of open field, we lack of different urban facility, but we are using lands just to dump our waste. And if this is a projection that we need almost 600 acres of land just to dump our waste. And imagine like how many cricket fields or football fields we could have made out of it. And this is not like, to make you understand the scale, this is a truck. This dot is a truck, and imagine the size of this landfill. This is happening because we are just highly dependent on the linear system. And the expected rate of this waste goes up to 8,500. So this is crazy. And you know, this is just the disposal part. Now, the people who are involved in this process, I'm sure, like, have you seen this happening around you?
Yes.
Yeah? This is up till what we see, like from our household, a small tri-van comes in and we dump our waste, and we feel like as citizens we're done, we're good. But this guy is carrying 800 kg on his back, and we are still in 2025, and we were supposed to digitize, humanize a lot of things, but this is the current situation. And considering waste as a resource, we are losing a lot of money in the operations and also as a raw material in the system. So, yeah, over to you. Like,
yeah. I think just to give like another example of the scale of the problem as well from an international perspective. Has anyone heard of the floating trash island? Yeah. In the Pacific, yeah. So this is an island that is entirely made of waste, it's floating, and it is the size of France. Completely crazy, right? Country the size of France made entirely of the waste that we've all chucked, and it's not like it's just chucked directly into the sea, right? You throw it in the street, it spills out on a bin, it goes into a drain, it goes into a river, and then it goes into the sea, and then the scale of this has gone to the size of France and rapidly growing as well. But I think when we talk about the circular economy as well, we're not actually talking about something that's new. Look at this example of a tree, an apple tree, right? You can see that the way nature has designed systems is directly to be circular. So this is what we call, the concept's called biomimicry. How can we mimic the systems that we're seeing in nature within the man-made systems of production and consumption as well? So it's a very basic point, but you can see here with a plastic bottle, how can we both have a system where if we're using a plastic bottle, it's recycled and then can be produced back into more plastic bottles or into other products as well. And here you can see that, I'll just shout. Here you can see the core principles of circular economy as well. So the first one is, obviously, when we're actually designing a product, right? How do you not just think about how we can make this thing as cheap as possible and as user-friendly as possible, but how are we actually thinking about its entire life cycle? What will actually happen to this once it's being used? The second bit is then, how do we actually think about really reducing the amount of packaging in a product as well, and trying to minimize this? There's actually a very good business opportunity here as well, because packaging obviously costs money. So if you can cost save by reducing packaging, and then the same thing around distribution as well. Obviously there's a big carbon footprint when you have very long supply chains as well. So how are we building out localized systems of distribution? And here, this is the core point that Fahid was mentioning as well. That as consumers, we have a choice about, do we need to buy this product? How are we going to use this product? Do we need to be buying a product over and over again? How are we using our products? And then once we, of course, we can't go back to the Stone Ages. So of course there's aspects of consumption in our daily life, but how are we thinking about our relationships with the products we are buying as well? Can we actually just use simple methods to make sure that we're reusing things as much as possible? And small steps, small decisions can add up into very big transformations. And then here you have this this next aspect as well, which is recycling back into the system. So when waste is inevitable, how do we make sure there's a closed loop aspect here, and things are going back into the production system, and new products are made as well. There's just a few different opportunities for circularity you can see here. So,
I have a question,
please,
for the audience. So we talked about linear system. Now we're talking about a circular system where the waste has a loop, right? What do you think? This kind of initiative or structure would increase the number of waste or reduce the waste? A generation of products, generation of waste will increase because of the system, or reduce?
Reduce.
The waste will reduce.
The level of waste, like chemical is saying, like when it's a linear system, the wastes are higher in volume or size that's manageable. But in this circular economy, the wastes, they actually break down to smaller pieces. And like when you recycle things, there are waste produced from the recycling plant too. So I would say the
বছরটা ম্যানেজ করে ভাঙ্গা ফেলা পুঁতা ফেলা এটা না ডাম্বের, কিন্তু এটাকে যদি আবার গুঁড়াগুলি ফ্যাক্টরিতেই পাঠাইতে হয় যদি সার্কুলার।
Because no, let me rephrase the question. So when I'm suggesting something to my clients, or let's say we were talking to some UN agency and talking about circular economy and giving a concept of how we can collect and recycle, right? But the question they gave me, okay, you are coming up with a recycling plan, that's good, but do you think the generation of plastic, the uses of plastic will increase because of this? Or are we supporting the hike in the generation? Do you get my question? Like, yeah?
I didn't get it.
No, so if we have a solution like this,
Minimize packaging, that's why reduce
Problem
part.
we need to think like
Yeah.
for consumer level, the wastage will increase. Like for us, if I keep this pen with me, as a wastage it will increase.
so per capita wastage will increase.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then with this we can handle the waste better.
Yeah.
Better,
There
and
will
that's
be-
why reduce
there
the
will be
wastage.
more free space in the landfill.
Right.
Like if I throw this pen, it will go to the landfill. But if I reuse it, still it's a waste, but it's not. I'm not harming the environment.
That is the point. The generation might increase of products. That's okay. The generation of plastic might increase because we are in a life where it's very difficult to erase plastic. There would be, of course, alternatives, but the volume of users will increase. But how we deal with the waste, that's where this situation comes in handy, right? To reduce the ultimate disposal of waste. Yeah. So that's something. Yeah.
And I think just to add to this point as well, right? It's complex. This is a very, very complex problem, and we're looking at to say this is about zero waste is almost a simplification, right? What we're really talking about is transforming economies and changing the way we interact with production and consumption as individuals. So what actually happens, and when you want to have really concerted efforts, is you need a suite of interventions. So you need to have behavior change aspects, where you're trying to get people to buy less single-use products. But then you need to have interventions where, it's not realistic to say that we will never buy zero-waste products, right? But how can you have interventions that then say, okay, when we do buy single-use products, they're in this closed-loop system, so waste is managed correctly. How are we actually trying to design products, though, that are easy to recycle in that case as well, right? Because if you have very complicated designs that have many different materials, then it makes it very complicated to have these things. So try to think about it in a systems-based approach of how different interventions can build our future. Yeah, do you want to share this example?
Yeah. So with a good, so we haven't used any plastic bottles today. That's a good thing. But there are a lot of other events and places where you cannot ignore a plastic bottle, beverage bottle, right? So that's made of PET type of plastic, and it's a high value plastic because when I say high value, because there is a back chain demand for this, right? So I personally categorize plastic into 3 types: high value, mid value, low value. And this value is created because there is a recycling market or there is available technology for recycling this. So in Dhaka, or even in the world global context, the most littered item or the leftover item is the plastic wrappers, sachets, multi-layer plastic, because recycling of it is very expensive and the technologies are not much available. So in Dhaka as well, you won't see much of plastic bottles around you because it's getting picked up because it has a value. So our company is working on a project where we are basically collecting the PET bottles, and then there is another partner who's making threads out of it. So it was a concept before that, okay, we are going to make recycled jackets, shoes, and etc. But now we are happily part of a system, and we can see what is happening. So we are supplying to one manufacturer. They are making threads, and the threads are going for textile, and H&M is making the finished good. So from PET flex to thread is there. So this is an example. We can see that the waste can be dealt correctly and made into a resource. So yeah.
And here's just another example. So we've heard about plastic-based clothes. You can also have recycled shoes as well. There's many other things. So first concept, circular supplies. This is another concept in the circular economy
এটার কথা
as
আমি
well.
বলছি সিনথেটিক
This
অয়েল
is less ideal, but is also often a solution of how basically waste is then turned into energy as well. So you see the concept of RDF, refuse-derived energy, or refuse-derived fuel.
And then we have biogas, which is commonly
because LNG leak also.
This is also another type of business which is really becoming more and more popular. So in many countries now, you have the sports shop decathlon. So you can actually bring your decathlon products to the shop. If they've got a tear in them, they will repair them for you, and you can reuse as well. So the idea of vintage clothes as well, also a real big trend in terms of the fashionable aspects of second-hand clothes. We're also looking at the business opportunities of multiple uses of products, multiple uses of different items that we see in our daily lives. Mobile phones is another example, right? Second-hand mobile phones and laptops is
So here I want to add a bit of our context. Like we have been doing this for a long time as a country, because the first-hand things were recently we are economically growing and we have like a fast consumer situation. But before that, we used to repair, reuse. That was inbuilt in us. But the pace of consumption has increased so much that it is getting absolute in terms of the practice nowadays, right? So, yeah.
And there's a broader philosophical question around that as well, of like, what does development or a developed society actually look like? Is it having 50 H&M shirts, but then having 600 acres of waste outside your door as well? So this is also a key discourse or a key question that's coming out. Like, what does it mean to be a developed country or to be a prosperous society? Is it really linked to just having as much consumption in an unsustainable way as possible?
Well, when you count GDP, that's nothing.
Yeah. So here as well, you can see a few other examples of different business models for circularity. So we've heard about circular supplies, we've heard about resource recovery, we've heard about the product life extension, the take back and repairs. Also sharing platforms, right? You can also think about these as examples of circular business models, because we're extending the use of a product in a sideways, if you like. So how are we actually sharing resources amongst each other and reducing consumption this way? And then also product as a service as well. So I really like the example here of clothes rentals as well. So you're seeing in the UK now, this is becoming really, really popular as well. Whereas because people can have very quick and easy fashion decisions and changing without having to pay the full price. It also has a huge environmental impact in a positive way as well. So you can also see a little bit in terms of the shifting of narratives as well, right? Are we looking at renting clothes because we can't afford the clothes we want? Are we looking at renting clothes because we want to be as fashionable as possible? So this is where the behaviour change aspects really come in as well. And here, maybe we already touched a little bit around this, but it's just going a little bit more into the concepts of mimicking nature as well. So where we're seeing around the nature is basically decomposing biological nutrients and building them back into natural environments. We're trying to really have a sustainable waste management approach where materials are collected, recycled, and made into new products. Where we have an integrated approach to consumers, we've also got in nature, and you've got these ecosystem-based relationships and this balance. Consumers are also thinking about what's the impact of the products and services I'm buying on other people and on the environment around us as well. And then you see here in terms of natural production in nature as well, we're also trying to think about how the products we're making are produced in a way and manufactured and designed in a way that has least amount of impact possible.
So in nature there is no waste, is there? What do you think? In nature there is no waste. It has its own multiple ecosystem to take care of it. Do you think if we stop our consumption now, nature can take care of the waste that we already disposed to the nature?
No.
No? Why?
Because it can.
Eventually.
Time they should.
Right? So plastic takes 500 years to get decomposed. How much does the denim take to decompose? 50, 60 years? Somewhere there. So it's because of our consumption pace, the nature is not being able to cope up. Or else it would have been taken care of its things by itself. So from that we can learn, like even right now we are into supply chain or manufacturing, whatever game we are in, we can take inspiration from nature and see like how these, how we can tackle the consumption, supply chain, and etc. in terms of the circularity, right? So yeah.
Maybe we can skip this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll sit down now, bro.
Yeah.
Listen to story time.
So, as a salesperson, I'm going to sell the company now for a while. I'll take the opportunity to introduce Garbage Man. So, there are two things important, two words very important recently we added. One is ethical and traceable, right? These are two important aspects. From now on, I would like you to focus on, because you see a lot of scrap dealers around you in Bangladesh. I'm pretty sure in the urban setting you do. They also collect and help the system, for sure. But then, traceability of this. Who is working in my supply chain? Are they child labor? Am I paying them enough? Am I taking care of their work condition? The way our garments industry evolved and compliances came in, I see this industry, recycling industry, heading towards that, and the compliances issues will come in. Now, I tell you, I recycle your, let's say you are a company, and I tell you that I'm going to collect and recycle your waste. But I'm using 8 years old, I'm using 14 years old, and I'm exploiting them to the bone, and I'm telling you, okay, I have recycled your plastic. Would you like that? But that makes me money and recycles your waste. You wouldn't like that, would you?
It's not ethical.
It's not ethical. And at the same time, the traceability is also very important. Like, how am I collecting? From what sources I'm collecting? Because as a consumer, you, as a company, you'd like to know that how much of your waste is actually being recycled. Not just from the source, but also to the end. What if I'm collecting from you and I'm also putting it in the nature, and I'm just getting money out of you and not telling you where I'm putting the waste, right? So converting waste into resource, it is being done, it will be done, but doing it in the ethical and traceable way, that is what kind of keeping us busy at the moment and develop system. So I started Garbage Man back in 2016. I'm an architect by profession, but then decided to be a waste management manager because it bothers me. Because in our country we have a lot of codes for making buildings, but sadly there is no provision. Even in this compound, you won't see a designated place where they keep the garbage. In any high-rise building, it is either behind the parking, or in front of a guard room, or somewhere in the street. Right? There is no designated place, there is no law, etc. So that's where we started question. And then when I visited that landfill, that is one of the first photos that we took of the landfill, and that kind of shook me up that what we are heading towards. So that's how we started Garbage Man, and right now we are into the supply chain game. We are collecting from households, we are collecting from businesses. We have around 500 households, like individual. We give them bin, we give them segregation manual, and tell them that you segregate paper, plastic, glass, and we will collect in scheduled basis. For the organization is the same. We collect from British High Commission, British Council, a lot of other INGOs, etc. But the most interesting part is the scrap dealer network. So right now there are a lot of scrap dealers who are collecting from the vans, who are collecting from the street, and they're kind of the aggregator, micro level aggregator. We are buying from them, but then we are also investing time and resources with them. As I said, ethical and traceable. We are giving them. They don't have any trade license. They don't have any kind of compliances or anything. So imagine they deal in cash. Whatever money they deal in cash. They don't even have a bank account or anything. So we have a criteria that okay, we are going to do business with you only if you maintain certain criteria. So we give them trade license, we give them bank account, so that we can also check on their health. We give them work condition support, like we give them firefighting equipment, train their workers, etc. So we spend a lot of time in terms of building our network with the scrap dealers. Now all the waste is coming to our warehouse. Right now we have one. We envision to have many, but right now we have one. We have a monthly collection of 40 tons currently of dealing waste. So imagine 600 tons daily and 40 tons a month. So that's a very insignificant small step, but we are happy that we're still doing this. So all the waste comes in our facility. We do segregation, paper, plastic, glass. Everything is segregated in according to type. And then with the PET bottle, we make flags. And with the other items, we make bales. We don't. So just to clarify, we are not into the recycling business. Like we don't recycle anything. We are into the supply chain. We collect, we sort, we aggregate, and we ship. This is what we do. We help the recyclers to get the raw materials ethically and traceably. That's the business model. So currently we are focusing on the PET. As I said, we are investing a lot of time. We have agreements with them, like what they can do, like the scrap dealers, right? What they can do and what they cannot. So there are a lot of training sessions going in and a lot of visits. We even did a social audit with $10,000 for auditing our process, and we do waste management. So to summarize what we do, we have our own subscription-based collection system that is directly from the source, and then these players are already there, right? So I cannot directly go and work with them. They sell to the scrap dealers, and we are buying from the scrap dealers. And as I said, we are trying to trace. So we have developed a platform. This is what the dashboard looks like. So everything is there. Our clients, they have access. Access. They log in and they see where their waste is coming from, how it is being recycled, etc. So everything is on the dashboard. So we are also integrating tech into the game. So yeah, that's how we are transforming the waste every small step at a time. Now,
Fantastic. Well, I'm also looking a little bit on time as well. So maybe we'll leave this on the slide, because this is a good process to think about. But maybe this is a teaser for a follow-up workshop that we'll do for you maybe in June at Social Business Day. So hopefully we'll see you all there. Well, you'll find on your tables as well, if I can just grab what I have this sheet. Here we have these papers. So we have what we call a circular business model canvas. So this can help you design out a social business model or a business model for circular economy. So you can see here who are our customers, What
তিনজন
relationships we
একটা
have with our
করি, হ্যাঁ?
customers, how will we get our product there, what's our
তোমরা
value
দেখো।
proposition, how will our product
তিনজন
be,
একটা করি।
or our business be circular, what the activities, resources and partners we need, what are the costs and revenue factors we have.